Welcome to Rewriting Real Estate, Millionaire Moves and Modern Tactics with your host, Kimberly Falker, a coach, mentor and strategist for agents who are ready to scale smarter. On this show, you'll learn from high-performing agents who are building their empires with innovation, intention and no apologies. Whether you're an experienced agent stuck at a plateau or a rising star ready to fast-track your success, this podcast gives you the real-world tactics, mindset shifts, and lessons learned from those rewriting the rules.
Hi, and welcome back to Rewriting Real Estate. Today's guest is going to be so great. Vayna Jerabek. She's from Seattle, Washington, and she's only 24 years old, and she started real estate at age 18, and now she is crushing it in the wholesale world. It's been a very unique way for her to actually have huge financial success and build an enormous team of over 30 agents learning and growing underneath her. So let's jump into the interview with Vayna. All right. Hey, Vayna. I'm really excited to have you on. I've been following your journey for a bit, and we've actually met in person before years ago, but you were like a baby realtor at the time.
Yes, I was.
So the reason I have you on is because you've just been crushing it. And well, you're young and you got started at an age that you were really a kid at the time, right?
18. I started 18 as soon as it was legal to get my real estate license. Yeah.
Which is rare. A lot of people have a couple other careers before they get to this. So I think that's really interesting. And then also you've really made an amazing name for yourself in the world of wholesaling. So normally I ask agents, who were you before? But you just launched right into it. What gave you that kind of trajectory or braveness to start at such a young age? And give us a little bit of background on how that went.
Sure. Yeah. And thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here. So my story is, I was in high school when I decided to get into real estate. I had put in my application to UW and I got accepted and I went to orientation. But at the end of the day, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be expensive. Do I want to go into debt and I don't even know what I want to do with this degree. I thought I did really well in high school. I was a really good student. So I was like, maybe I'll go into business, climb that ladder. But it just didn't feel right at the end of the day. And I had seen the real estate thing. And I saw that I was inconsistent when you start out or whatever have you. But I figured I'm young. I live with my parents. I don't really have to pay to live. My bills are pretty low. And so what's so bad if I take a year off and try real estate? And if it doesn't work, then I don't know, maybe I will go to college or whatever it is. But I started as an agent, so I got my real estate license. And luckily, it took me like 6 months to get my first listing, but we got there. And from there, proved the concept to myself. It was like a $16,000 check. And that was like $100,000 when I was 18. And I was like, cool, this buys me another year. So if I really suck, then I'll be okay for another year. So that's where it started.
So did you have mentorship, or how did you get your very first deal when you were so brand new and, get the, someone to believe in you at a young age?
Oh yeah. I was a Tom Ferry geek. So my broker got me into Tom Ferry and Mike Ferry. I was going to the events, getting pumped up. It was interesting because when I first got licensed, it felt like there were no resources available. I didn't even know what to say. And when I found my first Tom Ferry script online, like I was just doing my Googling and my YouTubing, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is literally telling me what to say to these people. And so I was just practicing that. And I started making cold calls. That was where it was because I was 18. I didn't know anybody who was buying or selling a house. I didn't have the database for it. So I made calls and I held open houses and I did the whole thing. I think there's a very clear roadmap if you want to make it as an agent. And I just took the steps. And after my first year, I did 14 deals as an agent. And so I hired.
Great as a first year.
Yes, thank you. That's what I learned.
As a seasoned agent.
Oh yeah, totally. And I hired a coach through Tom Ferry. I actually got Patrick Ferry. Shout out. He's amazing.
And that's his brother. Yeah.
Yes.
So you started off as a quote regular agent. What caused you, or how did you move into wholesaling? Because that's a whole nother world, which is probably a little build a little more scar tissue than many parts of this world.
That's funny. No, it literally is another world, because when I was in high school and I was thinking about what I want to do with my life, ultimately the answer was, I don't want to have to work after 30. Like, when I was young, I thought 30 was old. I know better. But I was like, I don't want to get to 30 and still have to come to a desk every day and work for someone else and wait till I'm 60 to retire. I was like, that's no way to live. How am I going to see the world? How am I going to be a stay-at-home mom one day? Like, there are these things that I want and that I know that I want. And I read Rich Dad Poor Dad in high school, and it said that you need to have assets to pay for your liabilities. It talked about rental properties, and if you have so many rental properties and you have this passive income that can pay for your bills so that you don't have to work. And so it became, how do I buy houses now?
Right.
And the simple plan. So I guess while I was doing my licensing, I was also Googling how to get qualified to buy a property. I get qualified for the 3.5% down loan. And it said 2 years of income, 620 credit score, and you need to make so much, like $100,000 in Seattle to afford the house. And of course, the $15,000 down payment. But if you're making $100,000, that should be no problem. The question then was, how do I get the stable income going? And that was the real estate agent piece. And eventually, with doing the real estate agent thing, I learned that real estate agents don't really focus on investing. Not most of them, at least. Like, this isn't like you'll go to one of these seminars and it's one breakout room. We'll talk about investing, which is crazy because we're selling people properties every day. Shouldn't we be worrying about portfolios? When I started looking for health hack after my 2 years as an agent, I started looking for something where I can buy the house or maybe a small multifamily, live in one unit, live in one room, rent the other rooms. And I'm young, I'm single. I got nothing better to do than buy some properties and have some roommates. So during that is when I started meeting investors and getting into that community, which is very big in Washington. We're very fortunate.
Okay.
It's a very big, very collaborative, very valuable community of investors in Washington. And so I met this guy, and he was a wholesaler, or he was an investor, but he also wholesaled. And he was showing me like how much he makes on these wholesales. And I'm like, I'm already looking for deals by calling people. Like, I'm already talking to people who want to sell. But you're telling me I can just offer them cash, sell that to an investor, and I don't have to list the property. I don't have to take a percentage commission. I don't have to do all that work, wait for a buyer, et cetera, et cetera. And then likewise with the buyers I was working with, I don't have to wait for them to love the yard or make sure it's in the right school district. I just needed to make sure the numbers worked on this flip deal to sell it to an investor. So that's how I got into wholesaling. And that was just so much better than being an agent. And I was still, that first year was 2021 when I got into wholesaling and really tested it out, because a lot of agents are against wholesaling. I totally recognize that. And I was skeptical of it when I started.
Why do you think they're against it?
My jokey answer is because we're taking their business. But the real answer is because there are sleazy wholesalers out there who are ripping sellers off. But I think actually, the real answer is because the agents are jealous that we're taking their business. Having done this for 4 years now, I know that the person who takes our cash offer was pretty much never going to list it. Like, they have a reason for doing it off the market. Right. And I believe there's business for everyone. I train wholesalers in Washington. Like, I know that there are deals for all of us. But
that's like real estate as a whole. There's enough pieces of the pie to go around for everybody. And so when agents get protective over business, there's way more to go around. You just want good business people. So now, are you 100% in wholesaling?
I am 99% in wholesaling, but I still have my license. I listed one house this year that was a failed wholesale. Like, we couldn't sell it off the market, so we put it on the market for her. And then now I'm still working on buying for myself.
So you bought your first house. You had to wait for those 2 years.
Yes.
And then after that, you were able to buy your first house. How many do you own now?
Right now, I have 3 properties. I'm selling one off, and I'm like today, actually, I'm waiting for my next one to get signed by the seller. So yeah, I've got 3.
So when you sell them, Are they sold in a normal way or is it another investment turnaround?
No, this one was a flip. I wanted to keep it, but it got expensive, so it turned into a flip, so I listed it. So I really have taken 2 listings this year.
Yeah,
And one
there
of
you
them
go.
was mine, so it doesn't really count.
So when you do wholesaling, the goal is, like you said, you find a property that meets the numbers for an investor. The investor invests in it. And then who is it, the investor that pays for the renovations and the fixing it up?
Yes, I recognize
Okay.
that, what I'm saying might be going too fast, and this is I know that I get caught up in going fast. So with the wholesale, our job is to find a good deal. So we're still doing mostly cold call is 70% of our business. So we cold call, we offer the cash offer. We have to make sure that it works for the investor before we pass it off, because we just look to our investors if we put together a bad deal. They're like, why'd you contract it so high? No one can make money on this. Sometimes we do sell to retail buyers who are looking for something specific. It's rare, but the majority is our job is to think like the investor, recognize where it's a good deal, estimate rehab costs, find out what it'll be worth when it's done, account for the profit margin, and then put it together with the seller. And then we assign that contract to the investor. The investor pays us the difference between the price we negotiate with the seller and the price that they're willing to pay, which
Okay.
in the best, well, it only works if the investor's willing to pay more than what we've contracted. Our average fee is $35,000. So on average, we'll lock up the house for $500 with the seller. Maybe it's worth $850 when it's done. The investor pays $535. There's plenty of room in there for their rehab and their mark and their profit.
How do you identify what those houses are? Like, what's a quote profit for the investors at a particular percentage? And then how do you drive around and actually eyeball the houses? How do you identify that? I would assume it has to do with the neighborhood and location. It's going to sell faster, but is it you find the house, or is it maybe how long the owners owned it and probably the end of their time there? I don't know. How do you find that?
So how we find them, we are pulling lists on list builders. We use Property Radar, and we go on there and we pull lists of people who, addresses of people who have owned the house for 20 years or more is what we look for. And then we get on the calls and we hunt for the people who are thinking about selling already. We're not trying to convince anyone to take a cash offer, which a lot of wholesalers do. It's because if they're not going to sell, they're not going to sell. And so I take what I call an agentic approach to wholesaling, where we go to the house, we meet the seller, we listen to their motivation, we talk to them, we provide options. We'll tell them this is probably what you'd get on market. This is what we're offering cash. Here's a difference. Yeah, we meet with the seller. We primarily work for the seller. We're a neutral party within the transaction, but we're on the seller side in terms of bringing them a cash offer. And then the investor, and then we'll outreach to our investors and say, hey, we've got a good deal here. Is this in your area? Unless it's in the middle of nowhere, pretty much anything with an 80% margin is sellable.
Okay.
So if they can get it at 80% of the flip price of what it would be worth when it's done, minus the rehab costs, so their all-in cost is 80% of the after repair value, that's a good deal.
The investors always want to sell it pretty quickly right after, yeah? Is that kind of the typical goal?
Of course, yeah, because holding cost is expensive. Average house in Seattle is $800 now. And so to hold on to a fixer that's costing you $5,000 or $6,000 a month, they do want to be in and out quickly. And that's a big conversation for investors here is, where are the good contractors? Who can we trust to get it done?
That's true. What team can we build behind?
Exactly. Totally.
So the houses that you're looking at, the owners have owned it for 20 plus years, but you don't want that house to be updated in great condition. You want it to be circa 1970 type of thing where they haven't done the update, so that, because if you meet with a seller and you're like, wow, they've been consistently bringing the house up to market updates, then that wouldn't fit the right profile.
Yeah, if it's in good condition, there's not really much for us to do there. We've wholesaled good condition houses because the seller was in a situation where they wanted to sell privately or quickly. And there's always a price. If there's a $500,000 house and you can buy it for $250,000, we're all going to scrape up the money to try and buy that, right?
Does that happen often? If they know that they could sell it on the market for 500, but then
No, not
do
for
it all
move-in ready.
cash?
If it's a nice
Okay.
house, no, it's not often.
Okay.
We're mostly dealing with houses that need a lot of work.
So again, you have these lists, you make the phone calls, but you don't make a final determination on bringing it to the investor until you actually see it in person.
There are cases where, they just do it all over the phone. If it's an out-of-state owner or something like that, we don't have to go to the house. But of course,
Okay.
in the spirit of understanding what the product is and getting photos to then share with our investors, eventually we're visiting every single house.
How many wholesale deals do you typically do in a year?
We'll do about 45 this year, which is our
Wow.
biggest year. We did 24 last year.
So you say you start up on your own. At what point in time did you start bringing in other people? And from what I've seen, just watching you here and there in social, it seems like your team or group are younger people.
Yep. Yeah.
Like they're you a few years ago. Yeah.
Because who am I talking to, right? As my target audience. Right. It's someone that I understand and relate to, and vice versa. I actually started bringing people on and training other people as an agent. And so a couple of the people who were with me doing the agent thing, they came with me to transitioned, if you will, with me to mostly wholesaling, which has treated us very well. But I really started growing my team in 2022, and most wholesalers, first of all, they do nationwide work. I really don't believe in. I think that's a totally different business than what we do. Like, I'm pretty much an agent with wholesaling in my tool belt. And that's how, like, when people ask me, like, how do I transition from agent to investor, agent to wholesaler? It's not a transition. It's another service for the seller. But yeah, I started training more people in 2022 and really scaling my model, which is come learn with me. You're going to make cold calls. You're going to be a local person making these calls. Most wholesalers hire virtual assistants from other countries to make the calls for them. We have a higher conversion rate because we have American accent. We can chop it up about local places, local things. They can pronounce the names. It's all these little things that are conversion rate. Yeah. And I generally have about 30 seats on my team. And there's serious turnover because a lot of people, they can't handle the rejection, or they don't believe in themselves, the same reasons that agents drop out, or they get impatient, or whatever it is. So generally I have about 30 people who are outbound calling sellers. And so between them and then myself, like, I'm helping them close. I have some senior closers who have been with me for a while and have gotten the hang of this thing. And so now, instead of calling themselves, they're helping the junior team members work their leads.
Oh, that's great.
Totally. Yeah. It's a great team.
So you require the agents that you're training to come into a physical office?
No, you don't.
Okay.
A lot of them call virtually from home.
Okay. Is your training done then like via Zoom, or how do you
We
train
do
with
both. I really like the in-person. I think if they
Mm-hmm.
show up, they commit more.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
when a handful do come into the office, which is great because we're all just in there and they're throwing ideas around and chopping it up, and I just got cussed out. I'm pressing the FU button because I got cussed out. So it's fun.
Makes it more fun when you're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, but we do both. We've got systems and processes for team group chats and announcements, the training stuff, all that.
Now, the systems and processes, is that kind of a love language of yourself anyway, or did you have to learn how to grow into that?
I am a driver and expressive personality. So, like, systems and processes aren't super, like, they're not my first thing, but I do have my days where I like to hunker down with the computer and kind of nerd out and do stuff.
Yeah.
I prefer to work deals and talk to people, I guess, which is funny because I was not like that when I started this business. I was very introverted, and I still am. I still need my alone time. But no, I think the driver, straightforward part of me likes the systems because it saves me a lot of time and energy in the long.
Yeah. So with wholesaling, I'm sure there's a lot of stories that you have. Can you think of one story that stands out as one of your favorites?
Oh, my favorite story is one of my first deals way back when. I had this seller in the South End, and I was sending mail at that point, and my postcards had offers on them. So I ROS postcard from Open Letter Marketing. They have an algorithm, and they just send out the postcard with an offer already on it. And I think the offer on this house was probably like I think it was like 475. And so they called me and they're like, "Hey, we're selling your house. We get a lot of mail, but we like that your offer had a number on it. And so do you want to come see it? We need to move." So I went down there and I saw the house. It was a good house, good area. And I could meet the number. Sometimes I have to tell them like, "Oh man, postcard, it's an estimate, but we actually have to be here." But I actually could do the 475 on the card. And so when I showed up, we had never met before, obviously. It was first time meeting. And we signed the agreement right there in person. We signed the contract for 475 because I knew that I could probably sell this for 525. We signed the contract. They're looking to buy another house. They had this house paid off, so they were looking to buy the next house for cash. So basically, within the span of 3 weeks, I signed their house, helped them identify their next house, put that under contract for cash, brought in a buyer who was willing to pay 525, and it was all closed in less than 3 weeks. So we closed
That's a good one.
we closed their sale and their purchase the same day. I made 50 grand on the wholesale. I made like 16,000 selling them their next house. And the best part about that for me was that they really appreciated my service. If not for my cash offer and helping them buy, they would have had to deal with a listing agent, a buyer's agent, a listing agent on another house, an inspector, like so many separate parties. With me, I truly simplified the process, which is what our
That's
value
true.
is as wholesalers.
Yeah.
That's always my
That's
favorite.
true. It's a different perspective because sadly wholesaling gets a bit of a
Oh, yeah.
used car salesman type of, but I think it's a brilliant way, especially for somebody young and hungry like you. And what's the average age of agents on your team, would you say?
I don't know. We actually have some older now. Back when I started in 22, it was pretty young. It was like probably 22 average age. No, it's probably 28.
Okay. How old are you now?
I'm 24.
Oh, so you're still a baby. So you're still in alignment with your 30-year goal.
I
Later.
would say so. I would say we're getting there. I'm pretty excited because like my goals now, I'm going to spend a couple months in Q4 traveling. And that's also a reason for the systems and process. And then the goal for next year is to be traveling half the time. So 6 months out of the year.
Oh,
My
brilliant.
business doesn't need me and it still prints money.
That's what everybody wants to hear. Right?
Yes, we're
Right
selling
now,
the dream.
in order to prep for Q4, what's your typical day look like in this process?
Right now, I do a lot of, I'll check on the deals in the morning, what we've got active. I'll respond to sellers that I'm still working with. A lot of our sellers are being taken care of by our senior closers now, which is really nice that I don't have to be in those conversations. But they go have the conversation, they report back, here's what happened. If they do need me, they're pretty independent. I'll check on what we've got active, and then I'm working on our checklist. I have a couple administrative VAs who support our back end. They do transaction coordination, all that good stuff. So right now, just getting them set up to handle like the leads coming in from the team and to have all of that work smoothly so that the lead gets connected to, the junior gets connected to the senior closer. They get the contract when they need it. They get the comps and make sure they're offering the right price. All of those things to have really smooth transactions for ourselves and for our sellers. Because
So you're training up those senior folks so that
Yes.
you can have less hands-on. When you're traveling, will you still be the leader as far as like the training and Zoom from wherever you are? Or will you actually assign it to somebody?
Now, currently, I'll probably be still training and doing the hands-on stuff. Because even our seniors, they're still working on some stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where are you traveling to?
I'm going to the Philippines in September. Half
Fun.
of my motherland. I'm half Filipino, half white. And then I'm going to Hawaii in December. And I'll probably go back to Asia next spring.
That would be great. How
Yeah.
fun. I think you're a great example especially for those that, I think, especially since AI and the world has shifted a bit where kids are struggling. Do I go to college? Do I not? What can I do? And I think you're a great example on a way in which a person can be very focused and work super duper hard in the years that you have time and space to do it. You don't have kids, you don't have a mortgage. Actually, you have a couple
Right.
mortgages, maybe, unless you paid with cash.
Yeah.
So what's your big vision between 24 and 30? Are you going to stay in this lane or do you have other thoughts?
I appreciate that. And the vision is to pretty much stay in the lane. I definitely have my days where I'm like, oh my God, I just want to hang all this up and I don't know, go play poker full time. I love to play poker. But I've got so much knowledge and expertise on our Seattle market that it doesn't make sense giving up. And
It'd be a shame.
what I love about my business is seeing people win. Like I love it when I have a single mom join my team. And because of wholesaling, she was able to create income for herself and quit her job and be there with her.
Oh, I love that.
And then, or even just another college dropout like myself.
You didn't drop out, you never started.
Yeah, I never started. Yeah, I consider myself a dropout because they still charge me for the first quarter. So I'm going to take that.
Oh,
But yeah, seeing them build themselves a career without having prior experience or knowledge, growing their sales skills. That's what I love about my business. I feel like I have to, otherwise it wouldn't have lasted so long. So yeah, running that, of course, if there's a day where the business doesn't need me and I just come in to support senior closers, do big trainings, things like that. So there's, again, it's just all this knowledge of wholesaling and passing it on is important to me to help other people win.
yeah. To your thoughts on having the passive, shoot, you could create a digital product if you haven't already, where the product is selling itself on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
You know,
no, yeah, I do.
I think, again, you're inspirational because of your age, your ambition, and your success. And many people can say, oh, I'll take that course. But it's a different mindset when you've gone through life longer and your authority is going to sound stronger because you actually did it at an age where most kids are still going to college parties every day.
Yeah, I'll take that.
I like to always finish my interview with a question. And for you, I think it's interesting because the Seattle market so well. If you had to move to a new market where you knew nobody, you had no sphere, no friends, no familiarity with the location at all, and had to restart, what would you do if you had to scale as quickly as possible?
I have two answers. It's a cheap answer, California, because it's similar to our market.
Okay, so go somewhere where you don't okay, we're going to send you to Alabama.
Oh, no.
You know nothing about the place.
I said Hawaii, honestly. Yeah. Because there's a lot of investing going on down there and they got a lot of nice beaches. That's where I'd go.
Well, we want to make it harder for you.
My first chances don't work. No, I don't know. You couldn't send me to Florida. Couldn't send me to Texas. Like, are we considering the quality of living or we're just looking at the market?
No, I'm just considering for whatever reason outside of your control, you move to a place where you know nobody, you know nothing about the area, and you have to start over and scale as quickly as possible. You don't have to stay there, but let's say you have to stay there for 1 year.
I'd probably do like Dallas. That's probably my real answer.
But would you start in wholesaling or would you do a different path within this world?
For sure.
You would still?
Oh, yeah.
And then how would somebody that was brand new get in touch with investors if they want to start wholesaling? How did you build out that kind of relationship portfolio?
I got into the community. So, again, we do have a big community of investors here. And I believe every state does. You just have to find it.
I'm sure.
Those local meetups of investors, seminars, Facebook groups are a big one where my investors come from. And then there is a website called investorlift.com. They have a consumer-facing website. That's where wholesalers post their deals. So you can literally go on there and contact wholesalers close to you. And on that website, there are deals in all 50 states. So.
Oh, that's super cool.
There you go.
You did it. Thank you so much for your time. You've been super inspirational, and I'm sure that many agents. One last question, however. If an agent's brand new and was curious, do you think that's still a good avenue for a brand new agent, or do you think they need to little bit of experience under their belt.
Absolutely. 100%.
You do?
I like wholesaling because it's the gateway to investing. Again, you have to think like an investor. You have to analyze the deals. You have to understand the market. And you will learn all those things by going out, finding the deals, seeing if they're any good, passing them to your investor that you're working with. They'll tell you if it's a good deal, and you just build those muscles. And then if it's not a wholesale, you can list it. You can still work with buyers.
Right.
But as far as jump starting an operation, I do believe in wholesaling for real estate agents.
Well, I love it. I love it. And that's what this whole podcast is about, is finding people that are doing things that are not the normal path and crushing it in it, which you are doing both. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for listening to Rewriting Real Estate. If today's episode challenged your thinking or gave you a strategy worth trying, share it. The right move at the right time can change everything. Subscribe and listen in next week for more insight, more momentum, and more ways to grow your business your way.